All right, guys, welcome in everybody. Glad to have you here for another episode of Tango Tuesday here on Tango Crypto. This is Tango Delta 6. My name is Dave. I'm calling in from my home office here in Tampa, Florida. Exciting day. Today is the 19th of April. We've had a blast today already with about a 4.5 hour marathon. Launching the token for Skybridge earlier, which is super exciting. You guys know that we're off to, we usually start off our hourly chat here on Tuesdays on Tango Tuesday with a little bit of philosophy. And we do have a power-packed hour tonight, so I didn't want to go into too much depth, but I just did want to bring up something that I guess we've all kind of been talking about it a little bit over the last few days and stuff. And that is that there are quite a number of token launchers that are coming out right now. And I know there's been some competition going back and forth with different people running polls to see which launch pads they want to use. And our entire ecosystem of crypto in general has been used to using the, using the pink sale for so long that it's been the only thing. And so for quite some time, there's only been one thing that we all use, so we got used to using that, and that's okay. That's fine. That's, that was, we all started there and we got there, and that was fun, right? But it kind of came to my mind that everybody was like, well, which launcher do we want to use? And then it kind of goes back to the philosophy that we see in crypto a lot, where people kind of have this myopic focus where they get involved with just one token, and it's the only token in the world, and there's no other tokens, and there's not enough room for everybody or whatever. And there's like, you see one type of token getting kind of snarky with another type of token. And it really doesn't foster a great feeling amongst everybody. And it kind of gives crypto a bad name, this high school, he said, she said kind of mentality that we fall into. And I was thinking about it, and we were sitting here talking about these launchers and how many, there's all these different ones coming out that are sort of like brands, right? And it occurred to me that, like, in the United States, we don't have one car manufacturer. We have many, many, many different car manufacturers. There's Chevy, there's Ford, there's Lexus, there's Lamborghini, whatever. Everybody's got a favorite, right? And for them, that's the right one. I even was talking to the guys from Crypto Villages earlier, and I was like, I like Mercedes. My wife can't stand them, right? So it's a matter of preference. Maybe I like it, maybe you don't. That's okay. We drive what we want to drive because it makes us feel good. We like the way it rides, whether, if it can go off into the mud or if it can go 190 miles an hour on the interstate. You buy what makes you happy. You buy what makes you good at what you enjoy the experience, whatever it is. So it's okay that there's multiple types of the same thing in the industry, because it gives us variety. It gives us a selection. Now that we're going to have multiple different charting utilities and multiple different launch pads and multiple this and multiple that, it's actually a good thing. And then that made me focus a little bit deeper on kind of where we stand as Tango Crypto. And today we saw something super exciting. We had the opportunity to help new people do things for the very first time, and we all got together as a team and helped them do that. Well, the same thing is going to happen as Tango Crypto continues to get bigger, and so does the cryptocurrency ecosystem as a whole. It actually helps us when there's more than one launcher. It helps us when there's more than one staking platform. It helps us when there's more than one charting utility, right? Because when there's so many different variables out there for people to learn, it adds complexity, it adds depth, and it adds difficulty. And there's an old saying that a confused mind will shut down and do nothing. And that's a lot of the reason, that people don't get involved with cryptocurrency. It's analysis paralysis, right? We overanalyze things, and then we get super technical about them, and then we go, I'm just not even going to mess with it anymore. It's too much to worry about, and we give up. And that's a natural human instinct. And it's probably why, even after years and years of cryptocurrency being out, there's still only about 4% of the world that's engaged in this in purchasing or holding cryptocurrency. So I think it's a good thing that we have all these launchers, and I don't think it's a good idea to just say there's only one that we like, right? We should like them all. We should support them all. We should take care of them all, because they're going to add the complexity that really means that people are going to need to find a place where they can come to and they can trust us to teach them how to use every single one of them. And we'll be good at them, because if we don't pick just one, then every token that launches on your favorite launch pad, we'll be able to vet that token and support it. Every token that launches over here on this launch pad, we'll be able to vet it and support it. So in the end, it actually will benefit our community, because we can have we can have what we want to be, which is a safe, family-friendly, happy place for people to come learn about crypto, and we can become experts in all of the different little idiosyncrasies of each one of these things. And then we can learn to promote those accordingly. And then that gives all the tokens that we support an opportunity to still work with us, because we're not just a supporter of one launcher or one chart or one, utility that's out there. So that's kind of what I wanted to share with you guys, is that, I don't really want to endorse any one product when I think all of them are viable, and all of them will help us to grow our community. So hopefully you guys can listen to that and understand it and kind of get behind it, because I think that is the view that we want to take as a group. So that said, we've had an interesting last couple of weeks, because we've launched launchers, and we've launched staking platforms, and we've launched all these different things that we have coming out. And one of the things we haven't seen in quite a while that I'm excited to talk about tonight is a play to earn game. And I was actually looking just a few moments ago, you guys have been talking about this in chat, and it's, we have a lot of people that have kids in our group. We have a lot of people that are teaching their children how to do cryptocurrency, and gaming is a great way for children to get involved. And honestly, as a person who's played games a lot for most of my adult life, I'm a gamer. I like to play video games. So I like to see something that if I can play it, I know that not only am I just wasting time by doing it, which is what I'm accused of doing when I'm playing video games anyway, is just wasting my time, right? What if you could engage in something that would be fun, but you could also earn by playing it, and then also earn passive residual income, which is what we look for here. And that's how we ended up in a conversation with the guys from Crypto Villages, and we've invited them in tonight. This is a token that is coming up with a new play to earn game. It's passed our vetting, and we're excited about it. They're on a great timeline to get their project up and running. And tonight we have the group, actually a large group it seems, from their token to come tell us a little bit about it, and also let us know what's happening and kind of what's going on with them. So I know Poseidon is here to kind of take the lead and tell us a little bit more about that. Are you with us here tonight and ready to go, my friend?
Cool. Well, first and foremost, thanks, Dave. Thanks for everyone else joining us on the AMA this evening. We appreciate you guys being here, especially you've had a long day with another project, so thanks, and we hope you enjoy what we have in store for you tonight. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Mitch, or within our server, Poseidon, the game pseudonym, and I'm the CEO of Crypto Villages. It's a project that we've been working on that combines play to earn, competitive PvP, but we've also included an opportunity for passive income. So that involves not actually playing the game if you don't wish to play the game, but you're welcome to do both. Or you could just be a passive investor, or you can just play the game without the passive income. It's sort of whatever you decide is best suits your financial needs and your interests. And I've actually been a member of TangoCrypto Discord since before beginning Crypto Villages, and in my early days, I actually spoke to a few people on a bit of thoughts on the different functions and that type of thing. So for the couple of those who are in this room, thank you for your initial support. And yeah, so tonight's session is designed to primarily focus on that passive income component of the project. There's just too much to go through for one AMA to go through the entire game. And so obviously TangoCrypto being interested in passive income, that sort of thing, that'll be our focus. And first foremost, though, I will introduce you to the team. Those who managed to jump into the server. Unfortunately, Zeus is interstate. He tried to get in, but he's having issues with his hotel Wi-Fi. And Apollo couldn't be here either. But I do have slide. I do have Hades and Bossio here, but I'll tell you just a little bit more about myself before passing it on to Hades. I've been investing in crypto for a few years now. The longer I've been involved, the more the more interested and full on I was with it, and I've dabbled in quite a few areas. Reflection tokens, traditional exchange investing, that type of thing. But crypto gaming has been my passion for the last year or so. I've been very heavily involved in that. I've invested in a number of different projects. And I'm very much of the belief that crypto gaming, there is a huge potential there. Still, I think we've barely cracked the surface, and I'm really excited to be part of the industry. And in addition, I've been a gamer my entire life, and you'll see a lot of elements of old school games, from the mid '90s, within Crypto Villages itself. For example, our artwork, we were thinking of, an AOE 2 Age of Empires 2 Splash. Our PvP is going to be based on a game called Heroes of Might and Magic 3, loosely, that type of thing. For those who are gamers and were around in that era, you'll see a lot of little Easter eggs. And outside of crypto, prior to starting this project, I was a microbiologist for almost a decade. I got my PhD in 2014, and I've worked in different projects around the world, and I've lived in the United States, even though I'm Australian, and Germany as well. And I think that covers me broadly enough. So what I'll do is I'll pass you on to Hades now, who will introduce himself.
Hi, good morning, everybody, and again, thank you very much for having us here on the stage with you to present our project. We're humbled that everybody's joined to have a listen and to find out a little bit more about what we're offering. My name's Kane Marler. Obviously, in server name is Hades. I've been working on the project as the Chief Operations Manager now for since close to the beginning. I was brought on a little bit after some of the other members, as there was a certain niche for obviously focusing the project and working with my holistic business skills to sort of funnel certain avenues of the project into production. I've been working with Mitch and Nick and Gabe and Daniel. And all I can say is that it is a terrific group of young men that have sort of come together to really put their passions into what you're going to see here today. My background isn't necessarily crypto based. I have been working as an operations manager for a multitude of companies here in Australia, working on the larger side of teams of 80 people plus, and obviously this is probably one of the smaller teams that I've been working with. But the challenge of working on a project like this has been immense, because obviously my knowledge base to begin with wasn't there, but as I've developed my skills in this world, it's been an exciting journey that I've really been enjoying, learning a lot about the crypto space, learning about the gaming space, and learning about what it means to be a part of a community that I probably have never been a part of before, in all my roles in working as a COO in a multitude of companies. So it's been a great experience, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the extension of this game and what it can do in the community, but also what it can do for the crypto gaming space here in Australia, as we continue to develop this project. So I'm very excited to see what that brings.
Bossio, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit now.
Sure. So, hello everyone, I'm Gabriel. First of all, this is not my first language, so sorry.
I think he dropped off. Looks like he disconnected.
No?
No? Bossio, you still there, Gabriel?
No.
God, love technology.
Yeah. It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, if he's dropped out, we can. I'll just introduce him very quickly then. Well, actually, I'll go into the bit of the team history in general. So, Let me just go into this one. So you can, my screen's still running.
Yes.
Okay.
You're good to go.
Cool. Yep. So, I was going to the bit of the team history, and I'll just include a bit more information about Bossio. So basically, Zeus and myself were the original starting members. We invested in a few crypto games, and we got very lucky in a couple, and one of them we 55x'd in a month, which obviously is awesome, but is not sustainable. And that one died pretty quick after that. And for a couple of months there, we were just looking for quality games, and they just didn't exist. They were either, they were rug pulls, or they were just designed poorly, and we just couldn't find anything. And we sat down, Zeus having an engineering and a programming background, and myself with my science background, gaming background, and just my tech background as well. We just thought, one of the major things that is missing is just a solid game, a solid all-round game, and we believed from the get-go that that's what was missing. Just that, that all-round game that didn't have any issues, any major issues, anything bad about it. So we started writing a white paper together, and I was still in my lab at the time with my research group, and it sort of snowballed very quickly, and I found myself very quickly having to make a choice between, do I pursue this full time, or do I stick with science? And I ended up deciding to basically switch careers. And yeah, so we included a lot of different aspects of our history in crypto in general, into crypto villages. And Bossio, are you there at the moment?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know how long you listen to me. I don't know. The internet has
That's okay. You
stopped
said
working.
it wasn't your first language, and you apologized that it dropped out. So if you want to quickly introduce yourself, because I was up to that point anyway.
God, I was speaking a lot more. Okay. So, yeah, I'm from the Spanish community. That's where I've been active in crypto gaming for the last 7 months. It's a community that had gone through a lot of different projects, a lot of different strategies on how to build an economy that actually works. So I got all of this experience and also the context with all content creators, which is important to make the game grow. Also, well, as I've been in really many projects, I know exactly how at least the Spanish community reacts to different measures that you can take or updates and how they basically think. I'm part of the community, so yeah, that's me.
Cool. That was actually good timing. So yeah, so one big thing is with crypto gaming is it is very big in South American countries, and I knew Bossio from a previous game we just played together, and I just had a chat to him and said, hey, do you want to give us a hand? It started off as a bit of a casual hand, but now we're actually organizing his visa to fly here to Australia for the last month of the project before launch, because it's going to be all hands on deck. And then as the game got bigger, I'd been speaking to Hades. Hades is a friend of mine from long before the project, and I was getting his advice unofficially, and said the same thing to him. Do you want to jump on board? Your skills are very much needed at the moment because things are expanding rapidly. And he jumped on board with at about the same time as Apollo, who's another one of our developers, and that's sort of the history. It kind of just snowballed, and here we are, and it's been fantastic. But I'll talk about what Dave was touching on earlier, a little bit about different projects, and what I touched on about, where there was a deficit in crypto gaming projects, where we thought there were those issues that we kept Zeus and I kept coming across. And what we found were we brainstormed for a while, and we found that there were four key areas where crypto games fell apart. So obviously, rug pulling is rife in the industry, and actually, I don't know, for those who've seen the article, for the very first time, the Department of Justice is pursuing an NFT rug pull duo. They're basically charging them for a rug pull, so I think that is a very good step to legitimizing the DEX crypto space. But yeah, so just games where you just didn't have games where you didn't know the team. They said, "Oh, we can't reveal our identity because we don't want people to rob us," or any of these. Just reasons that they were hidden and mysterious, and then suddenly they would either just rug pull completely, or there would just be some random, oh no, we've been hacked, or oh no, a team member that we've never met that we gave full access to has taken everything. Just those excuses that games collapsed before they began, and that is a passion of mine that I really don't like. For those who know me, whenever I see a scam or anything like that, I kind of go after them as best I can. I think that all we want as crypto investors is a chance. We want to be able to read a project, like the project, and invest in it. We don't want to have these there's a 25% chance your money is going to get stolen. That's just it deters new investors, and it keeps crypto from flourishing. So
Amen.
our solution to that, oops, yeah. So our solution to that was I said, look, if we're doing this, we want transparency from day one. We want to promote trust, and because we just want to make a good project, So we are fully doxed and we're KYC with TangoCrypto. We're making sure that every dollar and every cent is completely transparent where it's going, what we're using it for, and I think it's a good thing to do because, I mean, if you've got nothing to hide, why hide it type thing. So, we kind of took that approach with hopefully reducing that that fear factor that the project's going to disappear overnight. And another one is legitimate external hacks. And for those who heard about the hack on Axie recently for $600 million, which is the biggest crypto game in our space, and a myriad of other ones, there is always the inherent risk of a game actually getting hacked legitimately. So we've also from the very start thought of every measure we possibly can to prevent that. Obviously nothing's perfect, but one example is none of the funds that we have from any of the they're all stored in hard wallets which are in a bank vault. And so basically for yeah, I it's funny because I always feel like James Bond going there because
we were laughing about this earlier today, and I was like, you missed your opportunity to be like a spy for MI6, the way that you're taking the security of this thing. And I love this part. I'm sorry if my laughing got picked up on.
No, that's fine. Even my partner laughs at me. I say to her, do you want to come to the vault? She's like, no, that's sad. I'm like, but it's security, and I love security. I love also anything that involves protecting especially the crypto sphere, one's assets. So yeah, all the we have a variety of hard wallets where different funds go, and they're all secure. And for any of the funds to be moved or put anywhere involves me physically going in there, booking an appointment, that type of thing. So, and in addition to that, we are hiring. This is a recent decision. We're going to hire an external blockchain security organization within Australia to basically shadow us in what we're doing, and just making sure that we've got everything sorted, everything organized. Reduce that any chance of anything going wrong whatsoever. There are a fair few other measures which I won't talk about on a recorded YouTube video, but just as an example of some of the things we are doing, we are very conscious about security. And another one is short-lived projects. These projects that say, we can join this project and you'll 10x your money in a month or 20. The ones that just, if you think about them holistically, they're just not sustainable. And that's the example was that 55x game. They're just not sustainable. So, and the other part of that is that the type of advertising used to get players in are the people who just want to flip and leave. And the last thing we want is any later investors to come in and just get fleeced by the early investors. So we want long-term players, and we want to build this community. That's what we've been looking for, me and Zeus, for that game for months. We want that community again where people want to play the game, and people there's no fear and there's no just a solid community that grows in a realistic manner. So what we've done with that is so far we haven't had any paid marketing whatsoever. Everything's been word of mouth, and I've been very resistant for any kind of exposure that involves marketing of any capacity because the community we have is so great. Obviously, we are going to need to do that, and we have strategies that we're going to be employing for that. But so that's what we've been doing. And the other thing is to have an ROI that's realistic. We're not going to say that purchasing buildings is going to get you 5x in a month, because it's not, and we've adjusted that to our economy accordingly, so that it gives the game time to grow and to flourish. And finally, poor performance. And this is one thing that's always baffled me, and I've always told anyone in crypto gaming, looking to invest, I always say, if the game isn't ready, don't invest, because the number one advantage of crypto gaming is that utility is immediately there when the token's launched. If you have a game that's ready to go, you have people putting into the game and purchasing buildings in our case, that you have that utility. And without that, some games launch a coin a few months beforehand, and then you have all the speculation of buying and selling, and people here, by the time launch comes, you've got this mess of a graph. You don't know, who's. It's a bit of a mess. So for us, the token won't be launched at all until the game is 100% ready to go, and we're pretty on track for that, which is good. And so I'll go to the next section now. So I'll talk a little bit about the game basics, the basics of the game. Again, it's pretty hard to talk about everything in one AMA, but the one thing to note is that we do have two currencies, one of which is a crypto and one of which is an internal currency. Now, the internal currency is not a crypto at whatsoever. You think of any currency in any video game, and that's what our doubloons are. And the reason for this is we can basically, it's a way to play crypto villages without having to pay gas for everything. There still are a couple of things that, depositing and withdrawing. And if you're buying or selling a building, anything to do with the blockchain, there's gas, but all our internal mechanics that run on the internal currency. And if you look at the flowchart here, basically what happens is if a player wants to play our game, they purchase the token, they deposit into the game for the doubloons, they can purchase buildings, and then they can use those to complete in-game quests, which we'll be talking about soon. They can do different tasks. Some of them are as simple as click a building and feeding to get some doubloons. Other ones are raid the wilderness or PvP, that type of thing. But basically, the things you do in the game with your buildings, you make doubloons, which you can then re-exchange for CVGT, which you can withdraw, and then you can sell the token. And that's kind of the fundamentals of how people can purchase and then make money from our game. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the buildings. I'll give a quick overview of the buildings you can use for playing the game, and then we'll just focus specifically on the buildings for the passive income. We have two types of playable buildings. We have premium, which these are the premium buildings are the pre-sale ones. These are the ones that will be available before launch. There's a limited quantity of those, and they have a better troop type for PvP. The standard ones are always available, and anyone who doesn't get a building from the pre-sale will be able to purchase standard buildings whenever they please. The difference isn't so great though that it's going to affect PvP significantly. It's not a pay-to-win type model. It just gives little advantages here and there to make those premium buildings more lucrative, but nothing so significant that it's going to deter people, in the PvP realm, for example. Cool. So because we have a limited time for the AMA, we are going to showcase the demo. Just the different quests I was talking about. In addition to the basic click to feed, we have like wilderness raiding, where you send your troops out to raid the wilderness and collect resources, which you can use to upgrade your buildings. Though that will be available on launch. The other two, the Cryptopian War Zone, which is like a player-verse map. So that's different Cryptopia. We have a PvP game coming out afterwards, about a month and a half afterwards, and we also have like a player-verse map where the community gets together and they all band together to defeat these big world bosses. And that kind of promotes that community aspect again, where you get into Discord and say, hey, look, it's got 50% health left. Everyone jump in and try to fight it. And the goal of that is if you can kill it, there's a server-wide bonus for a certain period of time if you participated, where you get maybe 15% more income earned, that type of thing. And then one of the fundamentals of the game is the marketplace, where you can trade resources with each other, and through that you can upgrade your buildings quicker and maximize your profits. So what we'll do now with Hades, if you want to share your screen, we can have a quick look at the demo.
Hey, that was great. Thanks for that, Mitch. It's really exciting to see it all come together when you have a look at the gameplay overview and you start to get into it. You're sucking me in. I'm thinking this sounds great. I got to get on this. To jump on the demo there is, if everybody just wants to flick over to the other screen that's shared, they'll be able to see the demo that we have available. As you can see, sort of from the screen there, it is a work in progress. We just want to bring this demo to the table so that people such as yourselves, such as our community, can get a bit of a feel for what the game's going to be. This is a visual demonstration only. It's not the current build. The current build is not reflective of the final look or functionality of the game. There's a lot more work to do. Even in this home screen itself is just a basic plant, just so that we can get you guys in and just to have a look and a bit of a feel for everything that's going on. So as you can see here, this is the title page or the home page. You'll see a few different options here. We've got Go to Village, Wilderness Raid, which is what Mitch was referring there to in the PvE aspects of the game. Then you've got that Kryptonian Warzone, the PvP, and then Defend Cryptopia, which is the PvM. And what we've tried to do, as Mitch was saying, is incorporate a few different aspects of different games that we love, because we are gamers as well, and to have that ability to do the PvE, which is going on single player raids, if you want to think about it like that from a gaming perspective. And then Defend Kryptonia is a PvM, which is a server-wide raid, if you know the terminology in WoW and different games like that. So it's just to break it down a little bit so that you understand the different types. And then obviously PvP is player versus player, which is where you get to fight against other players using your own buildings and your own troops, and then obviously there'll be leaderboards and things associated with that. So I'll just get stuck in to the demo here. If we go to the village, this is your home page. As you'll see, there's a different quantity of buildings in here. We actually have 6 buildings, 3 of which are our premium buildings, and then 3 of which are our stakeholder buildings, which I'll go into. The stakeholder, which is the passive income buildings, a little bit more later, but for now I'll just start with the premium ones that we have on the screen here. Each of the premium buildings and the standard buildings that you saw on the previous screen there, they all have multiple tiers. So you will start at tier 1, and as you can see in the images that I have here in the camel stables, you'll see that I'm circling it. That's a tier 1 building. The barracks here is a tier 1 building, and then the Mage Academy is tier 1. And as you upgrade those buildings, you will have different placeholders for those. As they upgrade, they do increase in size, and they also get more utility to them as you see them visually and illustrated as well. So it's a really unique factor. We haven't put all of those buildings on display because we like to keep some things a secret, but they have all been designed and they all are ready to be shown off. So if we have a look here on the top of the screen, we have our different types of resources. Our game is inspired art-wise by things like Age of Empires and Warcraft. So you'll notice here that we have different types of wood. So we've got pine wood, oak wood, and maple wood. We've got different types of stone, which is basalt, marble, and onyx. And then we've got different types of metals, copper, iron, and steel. And all of those resources that you see there are utilized in-game to upgrade your buildings, to go on raids, and to basically make your buildings better, and to provide and to bring in more resources as the game goes on and utilized for the game economy. If I click up here, as you see here, this is the doubloons, and the doubloons are the in-game currency that Mitch was referring to earlier. That's what's used to do the upgrading in-game, to avoid those fees that you see if you were continuously just using cryptocurrency. Once you've invested the coins into the game, it stays in the game until obviously you take that out into the CVG tokens. If we have a look at the inventory screen here, this is where we have all of our consumable items. You'll notice there that there's different types of wood and basalt, and you can see the stacks of items that you'll have available to you. And then if we click on the relics, there'll be various different relics, again, all which will be used for upgrading your buildings. And as you have a certain number of them and you hit the cap of what's required to upgrade the building, you'll be able to do so. You are able to sort those, obviously, as you can see there, from most recent tiers, alphabetical or whatnot. All functionality will be increased as we get closer to the end result, but just as a placeholder, it's good to be able to sort of see where we're at. Down the bottom here, you'll just see a food vendor button. That's where you get your food for the buildings. You're able to obviously purchase that using in-game doubloons. And then once you've purchased that, you'll be able to click on a particular building. And you'll see here, this is where you need to feed your buildings to continue to keep them upgraded and maintained. And then you've got your experience meter and your upgrade now buttons, which is, and you'll see just under that the resources that are required to upgrade that particular building. Down the bottom of the screen there, you've got the various different buildings that you'll have at your service, depending on which ones you've purchased in game, and you'll see that they're color coded, and the color coding there is to inform you of which ones are at what level of starving and which ones will be required to be fed. So obviously green being no problem, everything's good to go, and as that deteriorates, that'll go down into the red colors so that you're able to see that, and we call that the hunger level. And obviously you can then again sort by tier, which is tier 1, 2, 3, 4, or your hunger levels, and then all your experience on those particular ones. You will see that this obviously is a placeholder, and this here is called a bank. That is a stakeholder building. Stakeholder buildings are not actually needing to be fed. So again, we've used this image just as a placeholder there, but it will only be, this particular page will only be utilized for your premium buildings and your standard buildings. You won't use this on your stakeholder, because once people invest in that, which I'll go into a little bit later, you won't need to do anything else except earn passive income with that particular item. So if we click here on the marketplace, this again is where we trade. This is a really important piece of the puzzle for those that are interested in investing in this stakeholder aspect of the game. This is where all the marketplace transactions take place. So obviously you can see here, you can put items up for sale, consumables, you can put buildings up for sale using the in-game currency, and then obviously that's traded to and from between players, and those marketplace transactions that take place then feed into the stakeholder passive income ability. And as you can see there's a couple of little nuggets there for the upgraded sort of buildings that I was talking about. So the Mage Academy, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and you can sort of see how they sort of upgrade there a little bit, but I won't let you see too much of that. If we go into back to the home page here, we go into the Wilderness Raid screen. This is just a placeholder, so I just want to make that really clear. But this is where you'll be able to go on raids with your building. This is the single player raid, or the PvE raid system. Depending on the level of the building that you have will depend on the tier that you're able to access and the rewards that you'll get. So obviously the higher the tier that you are, the better the rewards, and the better the more resources that you'll gather for going on those raids. And if we just click there, you can see there I've just done a raid complete, and then I can click on that and get the rewards that are associated with that raid. Okay. And then I'll just we can have a look at the recent rewards section, and this is here. So obviously, I've clicked on my raid complete button. The rewards that I've earned are the food, the pine, the copper, the maple, the iron, and then I can see here that my camel stables tier 3 has gone up in experience, and that experience bar has filled, and then I'll be able to go back to my village with those rewards and experience that I've earned for going on that raid. And those raids are timed raids, so that'll, depending on the tier, depend on the amount of time that it'll take to go and do that raid, and obviously the building type that you're using to do that. So we also can access the marketplace in here. Obviously, from the home page, we do have the exchange. This is a really important screen, obviously, for those that are wanting to withdraw their in-game tokens and exchange it to the CVGT so that they can take it out of the game. So that's where you're able to do that, just there on the home page there. Really easy, really simple, and you'll be able to see the previous ones that you've done as well from that page. And then claims, and the claims section here is quite important. This is where your stakeholder buildings will come into play. I do have another screen a little bit further along that'll sort of show that, but you are able to claim your stakeholder rewards here, but you'll also be able to do this outside of game for those that don't even want to go into the game that are stakeholders and just want to go to the website. They're able to just click on the website home button, stakeholder claims, and take their funds that way if they're not interested in getting into the game at all. So you'll see down the bottom here, access to white paper, leaderboards. Leaderboards are obviously for the PvP aspect of the game. And I think that's probably about it, Mitch.
Okay, so I'll just share my screen now, but if you're going to continue the conversation here, so let me just quickly share this again. Cool. If everyone can just switch back to my screen, Kane's going to continue with the chat. And yeah, take it away whenever you're ready, Kane.
Great, bud. If we just go to the, I think that we're on the next page here. Oh, we can go on here. So this is our marketplace, where you buy, sell resources, relics, buildings, that I sort of went into a little bit about the game there. So that'll allow you to maximize your profits, maximize the amount of resources that you're able to claim from the marketplace itself in game. This is exciting stuff, and I think this is really where a lot of your community at Tango Crypto will really find the benefit and the successes with the game. A lot of people, we understand, like to play games. We also understand that a lot of people don't, and for those that don't, we have stakeholder buildings, and this is a really exciting concept for us, where we've been able to incorporate the passive income that we know a lot of investors are looking for in the crypto space, and also have a gaming aspect that unite together to sort of create this really unique prospect. So what you'll see here are various stakeholder buildings up on the shares available right hand side there. So there's a trading post, a bazaar, and a bank. They're the three stakeholder buildings that we have in the game. Each of those stakeholder buildings have a share quantity attached to them. So the trading post is 1, the bazaar is 3 shares, and the bank is 7 shares. So what that means is, by purchasing one of these buildings, you will then have a share in the overall marketplace transactions that take place. So to clarify and make that a little bit clearer, if we skip to the left-hand side, you can see the buyer here, you can see the seller. So the buyer of the item and the seller of the item, there's a 96.5% of all of the funds that are transferred, go between the buying and selling process, are transferred from obviously the buyer goes to the seller. 3.5% of those fees, the marketplace transaction fees, are then allocated away, and 2% of that goes towards the server costs, maintaining the game, future prospects for the game, development process and whatnot. And then 1.5% of that goes into a stakeholder pool. And then once every week, that stakeholder pool is divided up into the shares. There's only ever 1,425 shares to be divided up each week, and then those are sent directly to the stakeholder building owners. So if you all own a bank, you'll get 7 of those shares from the 1,425 shares that are available, if that makes sense. So for everyone that owns one of the stakeholder buildings, that'll get divided up between them. And that's how the passive income works. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions regarding that. I'm sure that I probably skipped over things a little bit there for the sake of keeping the time short. But it is a very simple process. You're able to go into the game to obviously claim, or, as I was saying just before, go onto the website and claim without even getting into the game itself, and those funds and those tokens will be directly sent to you. These are the 3 stakeholder buildings that we have available: trading post, bazaar, and bank, as I was just saying. I want to be very clear about this side of things, that I think is the exciting part. There is no limit on these returns. Once sold out, that's it. So we have a finite number of these buildings available. Once they're sold, there will not be any more banks made. There will not be any more bazaars or trading posts created. That is it for the in-game stakeholder buildings. We won't dilute your share, water it down. It won't change during the, we won't add additional fees. There won't be any change to the percentage that you receive. It will never reduce the 1.5% that is being distributed at all. So that will never happen. Once these are locked in, once the buildings are sold, they are sold, that is it. And those that are privileged to have the stakeholder buildings will continue to receive their passive income as long as the game is running. This is true passive income, in our opinion, through utility-driven marketplace volume. So as the game is successful, as the marketplace continues to drive and increase, the people that own the stakeholder buildings are the ones that will be rewarded for that. And we have seen great success and take up on these particular buildings. 1.5% of marketplace transactions, as I said in that last screen, will be doubled to 3% for the first 60 days. So those that get on board with the game at launch, the first 60 days of launch is going to give a 3% marketplace transaction instead of the 1.5%. So the full 3% will be transferred directly. Just to give you a bit of an idea from our current sales perspective, we like to be transparent about this sort of thing. This is a graph here of our current buildings and current sales that we have achieved. We have done, as Mitch was referring to earlier, no marketing outside of our current community. We have a very strong Discord community. We have a very strong community of people and investors that are interested in the success of this game. They're not flippers. They're not interested in getting involved in being, a whale or whatnot. They want to see the success of this game like everyone else. If I could just go back to that screen there, Mitch, if possible. Thank you.
The one prior. Sorry,
No. That's that's the one. So you can see there that without any marketing whatsoever externally from those core groups, we have already sold 10 of the 70 banks, 6 of the 170 bazaars, 24 of the 425 trading posts, and then you can see the barracks, camel stables, and major academies there, 30, 42. And 70. So in total, there's 2,000 barracks, 2,000 camel stables, and 2,000 major academies are available. The trading posts and the bazaars and the banks are the ones that are much more limited, and they are the stakeholder buildings. So we anticipate that all stakeholder buildings will be sold before launch of the game, due to the uptake that we have had pretty much over the last month and a half in terms of having sales up and running, and the small amount of community that we've been marketing to. Thanks, mate.
Just to add to that,
please.
At the moment, we our marketing strategy is to focus on the stakeholder buildings first and foremost. For access for tier 2 members, you'll have access to the premium buildings as well. But at the moment on the website, the public website, only the stakeholder buildings are available. Just purely because there's such different markets. People who will invest more money in the passive income versus people who want to play the game. There's such different markets that we wanted to focus on the stakeholders first, get that community, get that, that solid base, and then focus heavily on, getting player numbers up and people who are just going to be playing the game. So I definitely see the banks drying up very quickly. My thought is there may be some trading posts left come, when we start really promoting the the actual player side of things. But yeah, so that's our focus for this period of time in the project. And I guess that we've taken a bit too much time compared to what we were going to, so we'll finish up there. But we wanted to say thanks to everyone for coming in, and we wanted to give you guys a couple of little thank you gifts, so to speak. And so what we've done is we've whipped up we've put up one of our old websites with all the buildings that aren't, including the ones that aren't available at the moment, and we've put a 10% discount on those for the next couple of days. We would like to have kept it up for longer, but because they're available for full price on the main website, and people can somehow find links and things like that, we thought for 48 hours it's a good time period for now. And what we also want to do, because we love our merchandise, is that anyone who does purchase one and wants a t-shirt, they are more than welcome to. We're happy to send a free t-shirt. You can either contact us directly, or if you prefer, the long-standing relationship you have with Dave, you can get him to be the middleman for that, so you don't have to give us your address or anything like that. But these are available anywhere except Antarctica, which was my little joke for the thing. And also, all tier 2 members will get whitelist spots automatically. We are going to be we've partnered with Ignite as our launch pad. They're finishing up the touches that we need for our building pre-sale, and then when I say the whitelist spots, this is for the token we're talking about there. So basically that's pretty much it. I guess, Dave, if you want to take the floor again.
Sure. I know that there probably will be several questions about the token itself. So can you talk a little bit about tokenomics and just kind of detail how the token is going to work in terms of the BSC side?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I'll include the building aspect because all that kind of merges in together with our project. Um, the idea behind the buildings is the bulk of that of those sales make up the liquidity for the token. So on launch, we'll have a very there's a quite a large there's quite a large base for us to launch off. As for the token, what was could you specify the question a little bit more for us?
Well, like,
In
yeah,
terms
are there taxes and stuff like that involved in the purchase of the token itself?
No, one thing that I've been very steadfast on is that when it comes to crypto gaming, it's hard enough to learn a game, and then I've seen games with increased taxes and things like that, and I know that there is that is a way to prevent bulk buying and selling, but we're confident in our other measures to prevent that type of thing happening. So no, there will be no additional taxes or things like that. So it's just a standard token. We like the keeping it simple for that regard.
Sure. Another question that just popped up for me: so the buildings that are stakeholder buildings, like the premium buildings that you're offering to us at a 10% discount, if we purchase those, I know you're saying that once a week you will send out the
No,
rewards.
just sorry. I'll clarify that because when I heard Kane say that, no,
Yeah.
it won't be once a week. It'll be it'll be your basic claim. It'll be a claim function as opposed to once a week.
So
Um,
it stacks though. Like if we were to leave it alone for a month and come back to it, it would have a month's worth of reflections in it.
100%. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That was just the way he said it. I wanted to make sure I
Yeah,
clarified that.
so I apologize. A million things going on in my brain, and as I was going through that process, I do apologize. But yeah, it's a claim functionality
Gotcha.
that'll be available in game and on the website.
And we talked.
Yeah, that's one thing to. Well, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go
If
ahead.
you have a further
I was just
answer.
going to say one thing we want to make is that we are going at the moment we've just got it in game, but obviously people don't want to load a game every time to access that. So there'll be a link on the main page as well that is non-Unity based.
Got it. And obviously, we talked about this a little earlier in our prep meeting, but a question has already popped up asking about if it would be playable on mobile. So can you kind of go into that very briefly, just about the difference between mobile and Unity and all that?
Yeah, sure. So, unfortunately, WebGL is not compatible with traditional mobile phones in that sense. However, there are browsers you can install on your phone that circumvent that. That being those being third-party apps, we don't go into just purely because of they're third-party, so we don't like to provide info on that. But essentially, you can play it on mobile if you tweak your phone a little bit, but there's quite a few advantages to keeping it on PC from a game point of view. That a lot of people with their mobile phones, you pull them out, you click one button, put them back, you don't think about it. We want people to really engage with the game, and so we're not going to actively try to block those third-party apps, but we're also focusing very heavily on the computer side of things. If that answers your question.
Yeah, and I know we talked earlier too about, kind of the concept of when somebody goes to their computer to sit down and play a game, they do dedicate more time to it. So they're there and they get a chance to engage, and when they do engage, they tend to spend more as a customer, right? So they're more
Yep.
likely to push more volume through the marketplace, which it benefits the holders and it benefits the game, because the longer people stay engaged with the game, the more likely they are to stay with the game for a longer period of time, like overarching period of months or weeks or whatever. So I know that is
Yeah, and especially if you get home, if you're online 15 minutes earlier than before, you can, there's some functions you want to click, but you have to wait till the timer goes down. Those 15 minutes, you jump in the Discord, you read the white paper a bit, make a strategy, have a look at your buildings while you're waiting for those 15 minutes, and that's what we're looking to promote, is that, yeah, that really getting engaged and looking at that building upgrade you want, and then thinking, oh, it's pretty cheap on the marketplace. I'll just, get the resources required, that type of thing. So yeah, and that one's purely from personal experience. I remember with one of the games that, I was out at dinner and I thought, oh, I've got to get home soon. I've got to sort this out, and then getting home and then, absorbing into the community a lot more and absorbing into the game rather than just making it, pull out a phone, click a button, put your phone back, back in the pocket type thing.
for sure. With it being now like the middle middle to late part of April. What's the timeline for maybe moving this forward, launching it out as a game, and whatnot?
Okay, so the way we had to readjust our timeline recently just because of the blockchain side of things. Unfortunately, our lead blockchain developer had basically a family emergency and couldn't commit to the project. So the short answer is that late June is when the game will be fully launched with everything in place. But just to break that down a little bit, the game itself is going to be done quite soon in the next few weeks, but the back end is where we're going to be having to focus all our efforts. And so the reason I point that out is because once the game is fully ready to go, that's when a lot of our content can start coming out, etc. So you will see a game very quickly, but the back end is going to take a little bit longer. And so end of June is where our launch is going to be, our full launch.
Gotcha. There's a question from Boomer over in AMA questions chat. Guys, if you do have a question, you can go over into the AMA questions channel and type that up. I've got that up on a separate device so I can read them. Boomer asks, broadly speaking, what's the marketing strategy going to be in the future?
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll talk about the marketing for the premium buildings, the playable ones. And one thing we've been really, looking into is we've been hand selecting streamers that aren't the typical, you pay them X dollars to, put YouTube videos up, that type of thing. And we've been sort of collecting streamers that are actually more so community driven and they have a great community, that type of thing. So streamers are going to be a big part of it, getting the name out there, but we're very much of the opinion that we've got to be very picky with those. In terms of the stakeholder buildings, we're confident that doing AMAs and talking to people that we know and word of mouth is going to get them over the line. And in addition to streamers, obviously we will eventually have to go a bit mainstream when it comes to marketing, but we obviously want to hold out as long as possible for that, and we won't be promoting the token in anything mainstream. We're talking about different platforms and things before. We want that organic. We want those organic players. We don't want people coming in and buying the token just to flip it, that type of thing, or we can avoid it the best as possible. And yeah, so we've basically, to answer your question again, because I do have a habit of trailing off, as organic as possible, but obviously including marketing aspects typical to crypto gaming.
Right, and that's just to drive engagement to the game, which is what will substantially be the utility, is the playable, the spending inside of the game through the marketplace is what drives
100%, yeah.
And you will find as we sorry there, Mitch. I was just going to add, you will find that as we lead up to launch and we have the game ready to go, we will start pushing a lot more into the marketing department. We have found through lots of market research that if too much money is invested into marketing prior to a game's release, it loses its momentum anyway, and you will not find any real rewards for putting that money into the marketing. So holding off right up until the launch stage of the game and then pushing it as you have content, as you have a game that's actually being launched, that is the time to start investing into that quite heavily. So until then, we will, as Mitch was saying, have the streamers and whatnot that want to be a part of the community that we have faith in, that will really drive the game from a community-driven basis. Having AMAs, which is obviously a big part, and working with our launchpad as well to drive that sale process prior to the game releasing. But those stakeholder buildings, as we said, are finite, and they will go prior to launch stage. So that's the key of people that want that passive income getting involved in that side of things earlier rather than later, because once they're gone, they're gone.
For sure.
And that's also
Thanks,
part
mate.
of the reason that we, Bossio being from the Spanish communities, he's going to play a big role as well, and that's also the reason we are organising to fly him here for the final month, because we're going to need all hands on deck. So Bossio has a great deal of knowledge in the in that end of the world, and it's going to be basically a two-prong approach, and his knowledge has been invaluable. So yeah.
Awesome. Dricknar had a question. Once the game is established and all the stakeholder buildings are sold, Will there be a marketplace so that a building owner could sell the building to somebody else, like selling the NFT, so to speak?
100% yes. So all buildings will be able to be sold on the marketplace. It's a completely player-driven marketplace. We don't interfere whatsoever, minus making sure it's secure, obviously. But yes,
Yeah.
100%.
If you click on my stream that I'm still streaming there, I've actually got the marketplace up there on screen where the buildings are available to be traded on that marketplace. So if you're looking, I'll leave that up just so you can get a bit of a gander there. But you can see the tiered building, and then you can see the sale on the marketplace. So that's definitely going to be available.
So will you set the price, or will the seller
No.
set the price?
The seller will 100% set the price.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a player-driven marketplace. It's nothing not to do with us.
We actually, in our white paper, we have rules that prevent us as anyone on the team cannot use the marketplace. They cannot influence the marketplace. Any buildings we have do not get mint numbers, or they get the last mint numbers. We have made sure that we are as detached from any kind of influence as possible, just for that, fairness factor. Because obviously, having the knowledge and building the game, we don't want to be involved in anything that could even be seen as, influencing the game, let alone actually doing it, so
there could be some strategies here as far as like the idea of buying the buildings now, especially when we can get them at a 10% discount, and then holding them for later with the idea of maybe I buy 3 but I keep 2 and have 1 to sell, something like that. And
the only thing I'll say about that, because I don't like to give information away, is that the premium buildings are a pre-sale only, and once the game is launched, they won't be available. Only the standard buildings will be.
Right.
So they will obviously be, inherently more valuable.
Yeah, it's
given
a limited
limited
supply. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a functionality to it, because the building itself is going to generate income passively, so people are going to want them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And when it comes to the PvP aspect, because they do have a small percentage advantage over their standard counterparts, those will have they'll be inherently desired more than the standard ones.
So you can easily, it would be giving you a way to have a PvP advantage, because, like, say the troops that come from these top tier buildings are going to be higher powered or something like that.
Yeah, yep. But
Exactly.
one thing we've done is that no player in PvP gets 0% for losing. There's a minimal percent they get, even if they got beaten, 100 troops to 0, for example. They still get a minimal of 18%, and if it's a very close battle, one person might get 53% of the prize, one person might get 47%. So while these buildings do have an advantage, we don't want to deter standard building holders from even playing PvP, for example. So we've also put those things in that someone with good strategy can beat, and standard builders can beat someone with premium buildings if they have that superior, knowledge and skill base.
So the gamers have a chance, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because there are games that are pay to win, and no matter what you do, someone can just throw money in the game and beat you, and it's not fun. We want to make sure the game's fun as well, but we also need to include that, that crypto component as well. So I think we've hit the nail on the head with that one.
For sure. And I've played those games, and they aren't fun unless you're putting money in. So
yeah.
And just to be clear, because I want to make sure I'm clear on it as well, but in case the question does come up, if I sell my building in the marketplace to somebody else, is 3.5% of that transaction going back into the reflection pool?
So 1.5% goes to the stakeholder building, like to the pool, and the other 2% go to
I'm sorry. I asked the question wrong. I meant is the 3.5% taken out of that transaction, with 1.5% going back to the pool?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
okay. I'm sorry. You got me. I was confused there.
Yeah. But for the first 2 months after launch, 3% will be given to the stakeholders.
Okay. So
what we want to do is
my buildings really fast, is what you're saying.
We want to make sure that those early the stakeholder investors are really taken care of early on, because it is a significant financial commitment, and there is some time before launch. So we wanted to make sure that we counteract the investment time wait, the time between, with extra rewards. So that's kind of why we've doubled that for the first 2 months. So
Okay. Carlos asked the question, will you use ads or buy land in other established metaverse projects to promote the project?
That's an interesting thing I've never been asked before. Short answer is didn't even think of that, but long answer is if it's something that we think that can generate organic growth, actual players rather than people just looking to flip and make a quick buck, then nothing's off limits.
Oh, I could see where
Coming,
that
coming.
would be cute. That would be cool, like walking through Decentraland or something, right? You're in the metaverse and you see an ad for crypto villages on the wall, like a graffiti ad or something. That would be cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Coming from the marketing perspective, which is sort of a department that I'm involved with, yes, we will look at all avenues coming up to launch. We are really focused at the moment on making sure that we get these buildings right for the investors. Obviously the front end of the game up and running, so that we have product to show when we can pull those people in from different types of advertising mediums. So unless we have a good foundation, throwing money into those areas won't do much. So we're just waiting a little bit longer until we've got that right foundation there. And then, of course, we'll be looking at all avenues. Just as a little things that we think of, which are also fun things. We have the Crypto Villages shirts, which are obviously promotion of everybody that buys a stakeholder building in the next 48 hours in Tier 2 will receive a Crypto Villages shirt. Now, we have those printed here in Australia, the ones that we wear, but we have those out at the moment being marketed at various events as we speak, actually, down in Sydney. We wear them obviously around. I know it's only a small thing and it's a fun thing that we thought of, but obviously they're the types of things that we're trying to think outside the box in terms of marketing 100%.
Sure. When you're starting out, you'll take any exposure you can get because that's what you need.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You never know when you're gonna be walking down the street and somebody see your shirt and go, "Hey, I'm into crypto. That looks like a cool game. I've never heard of that before. What is it?" And the conversation gets started and then the sale takes place. So.
Well, the event that we have down in Sydney at the moment, we've already seen success from. People. There's a stall there for various things, and our shirts are up on display, and one of our marketing team are there to promote our Discord and to promote the game and the shirts and whatnot already. So just little things like that we're seeing great success from. But again, yes, marketing will ramp up as we're getting closer to launch 100%.
How about that? The idea of taking a crypto-based community and then having real world events. I wonder if that's a good idea or not. Another question here from Reflector. Are the buildings sold in BUSD?
Yes, absolutely. Once the game, once the token launches, etc., it will be paired with BNB, but for all pre-sales, we're using BUSD. And the main reason is because if with things are so unstable at the moment in the crypto world, it's better to have a stable coin.
Absolutely. One of our server booster tier 2 members, MDLF, he asked the question also, is there a possibility for virtual reality integration in the future?
No.
Yeah, probably outside our scope, but it would be interesting.
It's more of a
never say never.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's more of a top-down kind of a map view playability type of a game, right? It's
absolutely maybe
I will say that I will say that one of our bank holders has asked for the bazaar files. He wants to 3D print it. So we might find that he's successful in that, and we can show some 3D models.
Nice. I could see where that would be a cool collectible if once the game takes off and becomes a massive success like we expect it will. There'll be people that have, like, you see that with World of Warcraft. They have figurines and things like that on the walls behind them as they're streaming the game and stuff like that. So, I wouldn't rule anything out as far as marketing is concerned. You can always tap into that. Hardworking Dad said, was there a private sale? If yes, what was the rate compared to the pre-sale?
So we had two private sales. We had are you wanting both or the token or the building? Which is I think.
Well, I'm sure you had both. I think it's a
I know. I can give both. So for very early, the earliest building purchases, the very early ones were at 25% off. But for the bulk of them, they were 10% off. We're giving you guys the the bulk, where most of the private sales took place. We're matching that. And in terms of the token, we had a private sale, and so we're going to be launching at 6 cents per token. And the very, very early private token sale was at 1.5 cents per token, and again, about half of those were at 3 cents for the secondary wave.
Okay. I think there was a sensitive question. One of the things we launched earlier, it was a big disparity in the price, and it caused a little bit of a dump right after the open. So that was.
I might add though, because I was, we have some significant, private token holders that I've spoken to, all the major ones, anyone that's invested in anything significant, and they've all agreed for the sake of the project to only have those tokens released to them at 5% per week. So that will mitigate anything, and if the way I've done the math originally, if every single, in this hypothetical world, if every single private holder had 100%, they all dumped at the same time, the way the initial liquidity is set up, it wouldn't remove all that. But to add to that point, 75% of all the tokens sold, the people who bought them, we know in real life.
Yeah.
And we're receiving our tokens at 1.5% per week, and we explain to them, the only way that we receive any financial, gains from this is by the game lasting for a long time. We want to show that, our commitment to the project. So we're pretty locked down with that in terms of you're not going to see what you see in other projects, because our good friends and family, for them to dump would ruin the project, and we would, miss out type things. So we've got a pretty good system there. But yeah, we're pretty comfortable with that. But I'm always happy to talk specifics about that. And yeah.
No, I think that's
the two stages. The two stages of that are really important are, one, all the initial investors are known, and they are friends or quite very close acquaintances with our team, and two, they have all given their permission to be released at that rate. So there is no discrepancies, there is no dumping. We have covered those bases to ensure that that doesn't happen. But even if it did, it still wouldn't make an impact on that side of things. So
you trickle them out, and then you don't run the risk of, like, if you give people 50% of their tokens up front, you don't see them dumping that many tokens. If they would decide to sell some because they make money, that's fine. But you're also you're not using a tax, so there's going to be people buying and selling the token anyway. So those drastic up and downs that you see from a 5% or 10% or 20% tax token, popping and just losing all of its value and then rebounding right away in the beginning, that's difficult. But I think you kind of brush through something that is a really important answer to that question, which is the 1.5% that you guys are making, basically, as the people who are fostering this and giving birth to this idea. The way you'll make your income from it is a trickling stream. It's designed so that you guys keep the game going, which makes it a great long-term investment. So talk a little bit about why you decided to do that versus taking your money out another way.
Purely because we wanted to set it up to say that this game surviving means everything. That's the number one priority for us. I mean, if that wasn't obvious without it, but it shows. I think it's for us to show our commitment to the survival of the project, and not just saying that, oh yeah, we want it to last. For example, a lot of games in early days, they'll claim there's going to be a PvP function, but probably about 90% of the ones I've played never have PvP. Whereas we're going to make sure that by the time launch comes, we're enough into the development where we can start showing things straight off the bat. So just little things like that, and the 1.5% per week is a way of saying, we're going to make this last. We're going to make this, boom, basically.
This is a really community-driven project for us. So the only success that we have is if our community has success, and that's what's really important to us. That's the core foundation from the very beginning of this project, is that we want everyone to succeed that invests into this project, and we're not willing to take a portion until we see that happening for everybody. And that's part of that philosophy that we've had since the very beginning.
Gotcha. Carlos asked the question, will lending be available?
Lending? No, we haven't looked into that side of things. Most of our developments will be looking at the game development itself. There's only so much we can look into. So there are a fair few functions that you guys will probably be used to in some of the tokens you look at that we don't have. And lending would be one of those.
Okay. Markley asked, is there any estimate on the ROI, the return on investment for the stakeholder buildings?
Okay, so yeah, that's always an interesting. We've got in our white paper a lot of information about that. The reason we don't give numbers is because there are so many variables. We've worked out a range in terms of that's why basically the way we calculated how many buildings are for sale is based on a range, and we are aiming with that 3%. We're aiming for 2 to 3 months to get that initial ROI when that game's really pumping. We have got on the website, like in an ideal world, we'd love to get it in 60 days. Because that's when the first 2 months are going to be when the game's really, really pumping. There'll be a lot of marketplace trades, etc., etc. But I can't give you a number because to do so would be false advertising because there's just so many variables.
But you can't do forward-looking statements, even though there's no rule against it. It's still not the right thing to do.
Exactly, yeah, and that's one thing I'm very steadfast with. I don't do any of the the flashy sales techniques or anything. I'll just tell you how it is. But we are everything's designed with that in mind to make sure it's reasonable and yeah.
MDLF also asked if the stakeholder buildings are currently available for purchase via the website.
Yes, we we have a special URL for TangoCrypto tier 2 members, which we can put in the tier 2 chat.
I think it maybe already was there because it looks like he pasted that there. And is there a limit on how many buildings you can own? Uh-oh, somebody's going in.
No.
No limit, right? Of course not.
No.
Apart from the limits that are set in place for the amount of buildings that exist.
Right.
So if you want 60 banks, there's 60 banks to be done right now.
Well, I mean, let us finish the AMA. Let everybody get a little bite of the pie, okay? I mean, don't be in
That's why we were holding off.
I will say, though, that there's no limit for today or anything like that, but when it comes to the public building pre-sale, we're not sure what limits we're going to put just because we want to... Mm-hmm. We're better off encouraging more players and putting a limit in place than to have, 10 people take up all the buildings. But that doesn't apply to anyone here because I dare say no one's going to buy 2,000 barracks and, just hoard them.
Be careful. You never know who's listening. There's a couple in this group. They've surprised me. Trust me. They end up throwing hundreds of B&B into stuff pretty quickly, and you don't even think it's coming, but it is. So watch out. DW asks, it seems like an amazing project. Is there going to be like an in-game chat functionality for like a social component?
Not to start with, definitely not to start with, purely because we, and the best example was, I think someone mentioned they want to show their kid. We want to make sure that there is nothing abusive being said or, passed across. And there is a lot of work to be done to protect the chat in that regard. And so definitely Discord focus to start with, and that's where a lot of our chat comes into play. And regardless of how other servers are, the team and I, we treat the server as if there are, 11, 12-year-old kids in the server, so everything's G-rated in that regard, and we are very strict on stopping anything that is PG, above PG.
Sure.
We have a really great Discord community, and I would love to invite all of you, or as many of you that wants to come in to join us there. We're very active developers. We are in there to answer any questions that you may have further to this, and we have a great community of people that are just there to help and to talk and talk about the game and to promote the game, and that's what we want to see. That's what gets us excited. So by all means,
welcome to the 8 people. Welcome to the 8 people who have joined so far. I just see a pop.
Of course.
They're in there buying the buildings because they know I can't get in there yet. They're all trying to get them all before I can. They hear me getting excited, and they're going to make sure I'm the last one to buy. Crypto Keltner asked a really good question. I like this question. All games fade after time, and people want to play the next version. Do you plan, or how would you launch a Crypto Village 2 that might affect holders, or like do you plan like expansions or packs, things like that down the road?
Great question.
That is a great question, and one that I think about a lot, and I don't want to give too much away, but there very much is a lot of planning already in place for that, because this to me is just the beginning of what I plan on setting out to achieve in the cryptoverse. And with what your question was in mind, even before even at the start of this game, Zeus and I were talking about how to handle that, but I have to keep it secret. Well, most of it, sorry.
Well, I'll say this: just keep Tango Crypto in mind whenever you get ready to launch the second one.
Absolutely. There are just
the next. I'm sorry. Go
just
ahead.
to go back very quickly on that as well, you will notice that on launch there will be the click to earn prospects of the game and the PvP aspects of the game. The PvP aspects and the PvM aspects are to be launched just after the full game launches. So there are already areas where we will be doing, if you want to call it, an update, and that will one, keep the existing players from launch intertwined and involved with the game, waiting for those to come out, but also give spikes when needed, along the way. So we're talking about a month and a half before the PvP, PvM after launch is integrated in fully to the game, because there is a lot to sort of add with the PvP leaderboards and elements that are required for that. So just to be clear, there are already, after launch, we already have updates ready to go for that, or add-ons ready to go. We have plans for that, and then of course there's other avenues that that later on down the track we may look at implementing or combining. We'll have a look at that later on.
And a lot of that, if you're interested, a lot of that is in the white paper. We don't give specific numbers or anything like that, but we have a lot of, for example, PvP, a lot of how that's going to work. How the buildings integrate with PvP. It's just, we could talk about this all day.
Sure. Hip Hop 82 asked the question, how much is a building? But it looks like our moderator Alan has already gone in there and dropped that link to the Tango-Crypto AMA site, and he said thank you back for that. So then General Payne asked, it reminds him of a browser game called Tribal Wars. Are there any plans to make an area selectable option that would allow PvP style raids on other people's villages to steal resources?
Okay, we have been looking at being able to visit other villages. We didn't think about the raiding side of things per se. It's a bit outside our scope for now. Mm-hmm. But I do completely. I've played a game similar, and I like the style. But I guess the first and foremost to get the core PvP released, and then sky's the limit, so to speak.
Gotcha.
Just to interrupt, just really quickly. Sorry, Dave. The links I posted before do not include the TangoCrypto AMA link. I'll just but what I'll do is I'll edit it now just to include it. The buildings page. So for anyone who was looking before and couldn't see it, I'm going to add that to the relevant links that I posted before the AMA began. Okay,
thank you for that. Crypto Keltner asked, and it looks like he's just being funny, but he said, "Win heroes."
Is that a reference to Heroes 3? Is that what you were?
Is that Heroes 3 or Might and Magic? Is that?
Gotta be. It's gotta be.
I guess it is.
I loved Heroes. Me and my friends would spend like 2 days straight playing it.
Right.
I very much miss the old days of gaming.
He follows it up more like a Warcraft 3 style hero that leads the army out into the field. Gives them bonuses, things like that.
So there's no implementation of that at this point, as the game, it's as a core game itself, doesn't have an animation feature for units moving across the board or anything like that. Everything is click based. Mm-hmm. So there will of course be upgrades and features that we look at doing after launch, but we need to get these core foundations really in place before we start going down those sort of avenues. Yeah.
Gotcha. Hip Hop asked another question. What happens if you don't sell all of these buildings before the game starts?
With the stakeholder ones, we basically the idea would be we either leave them for sale until they are sold. That's the probably 95% chance of what we'd be doing. Alternatively, we could potentially burn them and adjust the the market share, but we have no plans to do that. So just basically leaving them there till they're sold.
Gotcha.
I did forget to add one thing, and
You were
Cam,
talking earlier about combining. Was that something that?
Oh yeah. So another thing is that, so for example, if you look at our, we've 425 trading posts, 170 bazaars, and 70 banks. If we sell all the banks, let's say we sold them today, for example, and then there's still that desire for banks, we can combine 50 trading posts with 100 bazaars to build more, like to put more banks, because that doesn't affect the market share.
Right.
So
It doesn't
if they do
dilute.
sell out, yeah, so if they do sell out and you are interested in them, it can't hurt to give us a message. The one thing we did leave out is that in our server, for anyone who is a stakeholder building owner, we have a stakeholder building channel where only those people can access it, and that does give you access to things, like releases earlier. For example, you could play the clickable demo, little things like that. So if you do end up grabbing one of the stakeholder buildings, you will get access to that. You just have to scroll down and have a look, and you'll see a different discussion channel where we kind of speak to you guys and give you a bit more information, that type of thing, just as a way of keeping you in the loop.
Absolutely, and things like the private beta will be inclusive of only stakeholder buildings, stakeholder owners to begin with. So there is that, you'll get access to things, you'll see things earlier than everybody else, because like Mitch was just saying, we really want to keep those stakeholder building purchases in the loop and really understanding what's happening with the project, because they're of our utmost importance as well.
And plus, as the game upscales and we end up having 20,000 members in the Discord, it's just not going to be practical to keep having 20,000 conversations. So giving you guys your own channel for us to keep in touch with a lot more is going to be very helpful in that regard.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so everybody that basically is buying these buildings now, whenever the playable beta comes out, they'll be the first ones to get a crack at it.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Then Josie, another one of our server boosters, asked a question. So you can purchase a bank and stake off mobile or no? I don't.
Yes, because you'll be able to do it off the website.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because once we have the integration of the stakeholder on the home.
That's yes and no.
Yes, I'm going to say
so
yeah.
There are some browsers. Yeah, there are some browsers you can download. That's what I was writing. That there are some browsers you can download on your cell phone that will make it possible to open MetaMask. But personally, I wouldn't recommend that.
It's not very secure.
Yeah, I got you. Sorry.
So,
yeah. I misrepresented the question.
Well, I think okay, I see. So purchase. What his question is he can't purchase the bank using his phone. He needs to do it through the PC based browser to buy the building. Is that the question?
Yeah. So
I'm confused as to the question because
I got the question wrong too. Sorry. Yeah.
Maybe if you read, can you see the question in AMA and read it to see if it?
Let me have a look real quick.
It was 2133.
2133. Let's have a look. So you can purchase a bank and stake. Okay, so to the website itself, I get your question. I think the website itself is designed. Again, it's MetaMask doesn't work with app browsers very well, and the issue we have, there's a security issue, as Bossio was trying to mention. We wouldn't recommend connecting MetaMask to these third-party browsers. Wait, MDLF.
MDLF just said that he bought one on an iPhone.
I see that.
That's interesting. I don't know how. We do have a way. We do have a way to manually. There's a way to manually purchase the buildings to bypass the website. Oh, that's really cool. There you go. It hasn't worked on. I guess I've been Google Pixel. We've been focusing on the website. That's really cool.
Is that Trust Wallet or MetaMask? MDLF. MetaMask. Oh, that makes sense.
Oh, that's exciting because we're gonna have to look into that, Bossy. I'm gonna have a chat with you after that about that. That's cool.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, that's a good question too. How did you get the Discord link? But I assume it just was the one that in the chat. So
It's in
I've
tier
already put it
2
in the
chat.
chat.
in the tier 2 chat, yeah. And by all means, everybody that does purchase a stakeholder building and wishes to get that shirt will have to organise those to be sent to you one way or another. So just keep us in the. We'll work the logistics of that out for you. Yeah,
And
just
if you do purchase a stakeholder building and want that role in our server, just drop us a message and we'll upgrade your role. And we might even make I think what we'll do is we'll make a channel in our Discord server about the shirts.
Yes.
And if you're interested in one, just say yes. Again, if you'd rather Dave be the middleman, he's graciously offered to also help us out with those. So if you'd rather give him your details and send them through him, that's perfectly fine as well. It's whatever you are, whichever you prefer.
Right. So if you don't want to, basically what he's saying is if you don't want to give your address to these guys for whatever reason, then they're happy to ship the shirts to me, and then you can give your address to me and I'll ship it to you, and we'll work that out. So whatever your comfort level is, as far as that goes, keep you guys happy, and we'll do that.
Yeah, we're flexible. Yeah.
Sure. And I don't mind helping out. And I don't know what happened to that shirt. It was it was a medium. So I just hung on to it. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that to you guys. So I'm at the end of. Well, no, hold on a second. Here's a couple more coming up.
Yeah, I can see that. So hardworking dad. In terms of you can purchase the buildings now through the link. That's something that you guys and you can purchase the stakeholder buildings for full price on the website. Our building pre-sale is eventually, once Ignite have their launchpad launch, we're taking all our buildings down, and then I think it's late May that we've planned based on their timeline for the public building pre-sale, which will basically be these without the discount. But you're also getting the much earlier mint numbers, which a lot of people like. I've got barracks number 10 or barracks number 20. So
first.
Yeah, but basically, yeah. 1 second.
So just catching up there, Carlos. Yeah, 48 hours. Great. Sorry, Mitch. I thought you were answering something else.
No, that's okay. Is UPS? Is there like an inside UPS joke?
There is a very high concentration of package delivery drivers in our tier 2 area. We have UPS drivers here, so they like to make UPS jokes, and we have FedEx drivers too, so they like to make fun of the UPS guys. It's kind of a Chevy Ford thing we have going on. It's a lot of fun.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Looks like Keltner said, sorry if I missed this. Will I need to buy the token? Oh, no. You can just buy the buildings using BUSD.
Yeah.
When will the sale end for the stakeholder buildings for TangoCrypto? I believe that is 2 days.
I replied to
that. He replied to that one in the chat there.
Okay, and so I think that gets us about to the end of the typed questions. We are in an open chat, so if anybody has a voice question, you'll feel free to unmute yourself. Just keep in mind that if you have any background noise, we're recording. So if you would, if anybody does have a question, just feel free to unmute. We'll give you an opportunity to ask questions from the team. I know we've been here over an hour and a half now, so they're very gracious to stay with us. Remember, they're in Australia, so they're almost a day ahead of us over there. It's already tomorrow. They're in tomorrow.
We also have questions. We also have questions channels in the our server itself, so you can ask those whenever you want. And you can also directly message me for the next few weeks, at least while the server's picking up steam. I'm keeping those messages open. Mm-hmm. Eventually, I have to turn them off and block unsolicited messages. But for now, just feel free to send us a message if you have any questions. Mm-hmm. I'm very available. Sometimes too much so. I'm always teased about never sleeping in the server. So just whatever you guys need, feel free to reach out. We're a friendly bunch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with the pre-sale, I think when he was talking about the pre-sale of the tokens, when you mentioned earlier on a slide that you would whitelist TangoCrypto for your pre-sale, is that what you were saying on that slide?
Yeah, so for the token pre-sale, anyone in tier 2 will have like whitelist spots available. We'll organize that with you, Dave, and through Ignite, and we'll make sure that the tier 2 guys get access to that.
Right. Okay. Exactly. And I was trying to get to another question as well on that, as you may now see. So yeah. So yeah, we're just really excited that you guys were able to share this with us. I know as a gamer, I look forward to playing the game. I plan on buying some of the buildings as well to hold them as passive income assets in my portfolio for sure, because I do think that this game will do well, and I think that you'll have engagement. I know I'll play it, and I think it looks like one of those games that I would dedicate some time to playing, and maybe I won't get so much trouble from my wife when I'm playing it because I can tell her I'm making money while I do it, right? So
you caught us. That's why we're making this, so we can just play games, so our partners can see us making money playing games. You caught us.
Exactly. So basically, this was driven by wife aggro. That's what you're saying. If you've played games, you know what that is.
Yep. So anyway, so I guess if anyone has any other questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, hip hop. No, you don't have. The beauty of it is that you do not, as a stakeholder, you do not have to play the game at all. You never have to load the game if you don't want. We encourage everyone to do so, but we're designing it so you can just claim that passive income without even playing the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you can buy a bank, or you can buy multiples of any of the buildings. And obviously, it's just, if you look at the buildings themselves, they have a certain number of shares. So the big building, the bank, has 7, I think it is. So by buying one building, you get 7 shares of all the shares that are out there. And if you were to buy, what did we say it was, two of the middle
3
ones?
for Bazaar.
Yeah.
3 for Bazaar. And
Right.
if you so in terms of value for money, the bank's obviously the best, followed by Bazaar.
Yeah.
Obviously committing more, there's that inherent value for money there. So
I think we talked a little bit about it too, and I know you guys don't really want to endorse a certain strategy, but I had asked the question, like, what happens if all the banks sell out? Do you think people would buy a lot of the other smaller buildings so that once the banks do sell out, the demand is going to be for that next lower tier and so forth? Do you think that'll be one of those things that you see? Or
yeah, we spoke about this, but I realized after we spoke that we're a bit muddled up with that. What it was referring to was a bit different. It's if all the banks sell out and then there's a demand for them, then we'll generate those banks. We'll adjust those people who hold the buildings, the stakeholders that they hold. Those are remaining as is. It's just more that if we run out of banks and we find there's 10 people that want to buy them, we can take from the stock of trading posts, for example, and turn them into banks.
Right, so you can just combine them up, because you basically, as long as it's the same number of shares, you're not diluting the overall pool.
Correct.
100%, yeah.
Okay, so I like that you're protecting the investors in terms of dilution. There's no, the percentages aren't going to change down the road. The only thing that'll change is the amount of people doing transactions in the marketplace, and hopefully that will go up over time as the game becomes more and more engaged.
100%, yep.
I like it.
Good question there from MDLF.
So you do 100% receive NFTs at the moment. We're basically keeping a CSV file. Once Ignite have finished their launchpad, that's when we're going to be doing the minting and all the rest of that. We're just waiting on those guys to kind of see how we're going to connect it all together.
Oh, cool. So will it be like an NFT with an image of the building, so to speak, and they'll be able to see that in their wallets?
Yep.
Fantastic. That is a good question. Yep. I didn't even think of that one earlier. That's a good question.
I'm not sure what crypto Keltner means. So will they be restricted to your marketplace? I don't understand that one. Sorry.
Are you talking about the sales volume, Keltner?
So you said they are going to be. So we're just going to get a picture as NFT. The actual building is not an NFT, so it's not sellable on like another marketplace for NFTs.
No, no. It's purely for within the Crypto Villages game, not on OpenSea or anything like that. No.
Good one. Thank you.
That is a good question. These guys are just firing them out. Look, they're on.
I love them. I love the ones I never thought of, because they interest me.
If anything, I know you're probably taking notes for some expansion ideas, right?
Oh,
Absolutely.
see, this is
Always.
I'm always tied down because I always think of these like I've got to focus on what we're trying to achieve, and I think, oh, we could do this, or oh, we could do that. And I'm like, no, we can't. We need to stick to this. But the imagination does run wild with these types of things.
Hip hop, you would have to access the in-game marketplace so that you're able to sell a building. So you wouldn't have to play the game, but you would have to go into the game itself to be able to access the marketplace and put that building on that marketplace.
Right. So that's the function for how to sell it. It's not like an NFT that you can list it on OpenSea and put a price out there.
That's
The
correct.
actual OpenSea will be the marketplace inside of the game where you would go into the browser, connect your wallet, go into the building marketplace and list your building for sale for your asking price. And then if somebody wants to pay your asking price, they would buy it and then the transaction takes place.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Got it. There's still people typing. I know if you guys want to stick around. I know you've had a long day.
No, I'm enjoying myself, so
Oh,
we're happy
good.
to stick around for
Good.
as long. Yeah. And I think Bossy, what time is it there for you? It's 11 o'clock, I think, at night, or if he's still there, he might have fallen asleep.
No, it's gonna be 11 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
Symbols up earning. Do you mean? What do you mean by buying token and earning BUSD? Sorry. The token doesn't give reflections. If that's what you
the
meant.
token doesn't do reflections. There's no taxes on the token itself. The way that you earn is by owning the building that you buy with BUSD. But the income that comes from it is going to be in your native token. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a few games that have tried different little niche things with the token, but I've found that people want to play the game, so we keep the token as simple as possible for that reason, because otherwise it just becomes a point where you've got to learn about the different token mechanics and the game mechanics, etc., etc.
We've seen games fail specifically for being too complicated in some of those regards. So we want to keep it simple, keep everybody engaged, and have the stakeholder buildings and then the in-game buildings.
But you can use the tokens in the game to upgrade the regular buildings, right?
Yeah, so if once the game's launched, if you were, let's say all the pre-sale's gone and you found the game a week after launch, the way you would do it, you'd purchase the CVG token, which you would then deposit into the game for the doubloons, and then you could buy, that's what you would use for the in-game stuff. So, and for the buildings, if you were going to purchase a standard building, you would buy the token to purchase that building. So once the game's launched, it won't be BUSD, it'll be the token, and that's where we get that, that token volume as well.
You came up with an idea. I know when I used to play World of Warcraft, I had a bot that would play the game when I was sleeping, and it would just go out and like farm leather or farm ore. Is this something that if a player wanted to just play the game to farm resources and then sell the resources on the marketplace, is there going to be that aspect of the game?
Yeah. So 100%. Well, no, there is. So people can collect resources and sell them. If someone's upgraded their buildings to tier 4 and they have no more need for resources apart from the in-game function, then they're going to have an excess, and that's where some of the marketplace volume will come.
Gotcha.
But in terms of the bot side of things, the wilderness raid isn't so intense that you there can't be. Sorry, one of my dogs is just. There's. Could you answer that one? Sorry, I'm just going to check on my dogs for a second.
Sure. Yeah. So what Mitch is referring there is that it's quite it's not an intensive sort of labor intensive avenue to get into. It's a click and reward system. So once the timer is over, because that's obviously the key part, it's a button to click and then the resources will be sent to you. So yes, you could effectively use a bot for farming. It would just save you the click of the button to gain the resources for the raid, if that's what the particular sort of avenue of making the resources would come from. So if you're raiding, yes, every 4 to 8 hours, depending on the tier or whatnot, that'll allow you to get access to those resources, and Yeah, you could do that. I assume you could do that with a bot. Not something that we're looking into. We don't want people to be doing that or have any part of that in the game. But obviously, what we can't stop, we can't stop. So
It's not so click intensive that they don't need that bots would be something to worry about in that capacity.
Right.
that's what I was explaining before you came back. Yeah.
Also, really good question from Alan. I like this one too. So if it doesn't have a token tax, then that makes it pretty easy to move into some of the centralized exchanges down the road, which would add a lot of volume and get you a lot of exposure to gamers that maybe aren't, just regular BSC traders. Is that an option or a thought?
That is, yeah. So, we have looked into that very loosely. It's games of a certain size that get onto those exchanges, and it's definitely an option once we start expanding in that regard.
Yeah,
so
you just got to grow
yeah.
it. Once we grow it to a certain size, then we can do that.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Great.
Okay. That's funny. So yeah, just give it a little shot in the arm there. Yeah, got it. Yeah, okay. So, well, I we're coming up on almost 2 hours. I know we started a couple minutes late, but and I apologize for all the technical stuff, but I think we've had a fantastic get together here, and I'm proud that you guys would come share your time with us. Do you have any last comments or anything like that you'd like to give a parting shot as we disconnect, if there's no other questions?
No, just that you guys are always welcome to the server. I've been looking forward to this particular AMA since day one of starting the project, because I was originally in Tango's, lurking before then. So thanks, guys, for having us, and feel free to drop us a line.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and from me and the team, thank you again so much for the opportunity. We've really enjoyed this experience. We have been looking forward to it. Please join the Discord. Please have a look at the links to the website. There is a lot more information there if you require it in the white paper and whatnot, which I'm sure will fuel more questions that you may have. And by all means, just direct those straight through to myself or to Poseidon. We'd love to answer them. We're happy to come back anytime if there's a desire or a requirement or a need for us to come back and have a chat. We're always happy to do anything like that. We are community driven through and through, and we just want to see everybody succeed, including ourselves. So appreciate the time, and look forward to keeping in contact with all of you.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you being here. Bossio, did you have a parting shot?
Well, I think I see that here there are some people who speak Spanish also, so yeah, just DM me if you have any questions. I can also speak in English. I'm just a bit nervous, so my language it's not the best, but in a normal conversation, my level of English is great to explain anything about the project. So if you guys have any trouble with the white paper, any questions, you can just message me or do it through the Discord chats, so everyone else can see the same questions. So I think that's it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bossio. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Cool.
And on behalf of TangoCrypto and myself, obviously, we just really appreciate you guys being here. Looking forward to playing the game and buying some buildings and engaging with the community and helping you guys grow. And I look forward to, I'm on your Discord server, but I can honestly say that after doing the AMA with you guys, I know I need to spend a little more time over there and get to know the community and kind of, work on some strategy for how to play the game and stuff, because I know there's probably a little bit of that going on. So looking forward to that, and just really appreciate y'all's time here tonight, and just blessed and fortunate to have you over here talking with our family.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Good on you. All right, we'll keep in touch and talk soon. Thanks again.
Thanks a bunch.
Cheers.
Well, that's going to take care of tonight's presentation, everybody. Thank you so much for another successful Tango Tuesday. We'll be back here again next week, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern. This is Dave, Tango Delta 6 from my home down in Tampa. It was great to hang out with you guys here tonight. I love you guys. Y'all are my family, and we'll talk again soon. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a great night.